Hey, my name's Gabe Giannis, and if I hated you, you would know. Hey everybody, my name, I don't need to do that. I just told you what my name is. Hey, so welcome to this latest issue of If I Hated You, You Would Know. Today I'm going to be talking about a few things. I'm going to talk about how terrible movies make me feel good. I'm going to talk about what I'm endeavoring to call fuck it positivity, and it's how it's different than toxic positivity. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about just kind of this kind of half-formed idea so far, but about how even though there's like really like of the moment, like, oh, I really want to talk about this like thing that's popular right this second, I try not to do that too much because I want to I'm trying to make things that when I go back to it, it's not, I don't have to think about exactly what was happening in that moment in history for me to fully engage with it. I think I'd rather just talk about things that are kind of settled or that I'm thinking about, if that makes any kind of sense. So, I don't know. We'll get there. So, that's going to be the show. No interview today, but yeah, hope you stick around. Like I've said it in a couple episodes, like a YouTuber that I watch named Mug Thief says, feel free to like and subscribe, but, wait till the end. Make sure that what I'm doing is something that you enjoy, and if it is, yeah, see you in the next segment. Be back in a sec. Ta-da! I'm back. Yay! I didn't really go anywhere. I just be quiet for a little bit so that I can make a bumper, so that I can make chapters. But so first thing I want to talk about, I got really sick. I got food poisoning, I think, from something that I ate, and just was miserable for like 2 days, right? And it's been a while since I've been stuck in bed, like fully sick. Last year, around September, October, I was actually in bed for about a month and a half because of a back issue that I ended up having to get surgery for. And so it's been a while since I've experienced the, I'm stuck in bed. But one of the things that happened when I got my back surgery and this time when I had food poisoning is I tend to watch super trashy, terrible movies that make me feel better for some reason. So the first one that I sat down and watched was a movie called The Horrors of Malformed Men. It's an adaptation of 2 short stories by a guy named Edogawa Rampo. Edogawa Rampo is an anagram for Edgar Allan Poe. He was a Japanese author that was trying to basically become Japan's Poe. Rampo's stories are super off the wall, much like Poe's stories, where the conceits of them are really intense in a lot of ways, but sometimes can be delivered in sort of a goofy way. This movie had a lot of that. It's very airy and dreamy and hallucinatory. There's a lot of things in it that happen where you're just that doesn't make a whole shitload of sense. But overall, the way the movie feels, that kind of things are not right, almost like Japanese Gothic, right? Where that sense of Gothic horror, the crumbling castle, the everything in decay, and that decay is a visual metaphor for the decay of the humanity of the people that live there. Those are all evident in this movie too, right? Showing this really intense sense of moral and human and empathetic decay in conjunction with the decline of a wealthy family. So it is a pretty cool movie. The director, whose name I forgot to write down, he's made a couple other movies that are kind of this weird. They're called Eurogoro, which means erotic gore. right? And they're meant to be like titillating and gross at the same time. But I think there's more, like, it feels like there's more to it than that. Like when you're watching it, like this sensibility that like this decay, this rot, it's a rot that can be found like in aristocracy, just like in general. And that like once like you've traveled so far away from like being connected with humans to the point where you're literally isolating yourself on an island. It's got some very Island of Dr. Moreau things going on in it too. Like Rampo, I don't think Rampo could be like really described as an extremely creative writer. Like he definitely borrowed a lot of tropes from like other people. I think he just gave it a sensibility that was like distinctly Japanese, but the movie encapsulates a lot of that in a really fun way. So that was the first like kind of trashy, terrible movie that I watched. The second one was called The Demoniacs by Jean Rollin. It's kind of like a rape revenge movie, but with like without the revenge in the way that you're expecting. Like there's no, the comeuppance isn't like the kind of like stark violent comeuppance of like something like a I spit on your grave, or even like from the opposite perspective like a Death Wish, right? Where the baddies, like they get it and they get it hard, right? Like this is so, it just meanders to where it's getting to in like the weirdest way. Jean Rollin, I think, really filmed to create like scenes where he was not always overtly concerned with like where the plot was actually going. Like he's more concerned with the scene of like the nubile half-naked woman semi-crucified like in the ocean while a troop of monks marches along the beach. You know, like he's more interested in like the visual aesthetics. Like it's like sometimes like Alejandro Jodorowsky's movies feel that way, where like you know that he has like a symbolism and like an intention and a meaning behind it in a way that I don't think Rollin embraces as fully. But like there's moments where you're watching a Jodorowsky movie and like there's a scene and you're like, oh, all of this was building just to that so that I could see this thing. And that's a really interesting way of making films, in my opinion. Like there's a lot of movies that I like that I think do that. Beyond the Black Rainbow really comes to mind, where like the plot is good and interesting and like has a lot to say, but like more than anything it revolves around like these really intense like visual moments that are there to like really drive home like a point. But like The Demoniacs doesn't feel like it has a point. It just feels like it's build up for scenes. It also has, yeah, what's up?
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're making your typical burst into the video moment.
My daily entrance.
Yeah, what's up?
I just wanted to come say hi and pet cat.
Right on. Well, I'm going to finish this thought about these movies and then I'll pause it. Yeah, anyway, so with Rollin and The Demoniacs, like it's definitely this build up just for like scenes and creating scenes, and I don't know, it's pretty interesting. But fundamentally what I think is helps me when I don't feel physically good, when I feel sick, when I feel like, you know, like that day I was just throwing up all day. Like in the past it was like my back laying in bed, whatever. Even when I just have like a cold, I end up doing this. I either watch like true crime documentaries where like horrible things are happening to people, or I watch just like terrible, terrible movies. And I think the thing that makes me feel better about it is this sense of like, oh, well, that's not me. Like that shit didn't happen to me. I survived. So, it's just like I don't know. It's a funny thing that happens to me. So, when I don't feel well, know that I'm watching a terrible movie. Yeah. Anyway, all right. I'm going to take a break. I'm sure I had more to say, but Cody ruined my train of thought.
I know. Just the worst.
Anyway, all right. Be back in a bit. Okay, welcome back. Yeah, Cody will probably burst back in here with the cat in his arms here in a second. So I want to talk about just kind of like this idea that's been rolling around in my head for a little while. So there's like I'm sure you've heard the term, like this term toxic positivity, right? The brand of person that like no matter what happens, they're like, oh my God, it's a blessing in disguise, or, oh my God, like it's just the way like that things are meant to be. And, if you just like breathe and laugh and love, then everything will be perfect and you'll be happy even in the midst of horrible struggle. Whatever. Like that can be taken. I do believe that having like a good mental, like a positive mental attitude, as Bad Brains so eloquently told us, having that PMA, I think really does like change your perspective on life and the way that you do things and stuff. But like bad shit happens. And if you don't acknowledge it, if you just like hide it, if you just like pretend like it's not bad shit, then like that builds up and it becomes toxic and poisonous to you in like a way that, I think people don't really fully understand, right? You see it in like the perfect, suburban household where the kid that seems so perfect and wonderful and amazing and their family seems so put together and beautiful and everything was always positive and mom never allowed a crossword in the house, that kid, like when they get out of high school, they just like go off the deep end doing all the crazy shit possible because they were just stifled by that kind of toxic positivity. And that sucks. I think I strove for that for like a really long time. Like I've always been a fairly angry guy, but there's a good 10 years there where I had bought in fully to like the if I just think well, it goes well kind of thing. And that as soon as I allowed a negative feeling into like my heart, then, I would blow up my spot and, God would stop loving me and my wife would stop loving me and all this other stuff. And like all the striving and pushing and struggling to make sure that I was happy and that everybody around me was happy made everybody miserable. It made me miserable, right? I couldn't see the trees for the forest, right? The forest has to be happy and positive and bright and put together. But like, if the canopy looks good, are all the trees healthy? Hopefully, but probably not. And there's probably like a lot of rot going on in there too. This is a terrible extended metaphor now that I actually think about it. But at the basis of it, there was no point where I was taking into account if something made me feel bad and if I didn't like something, I would stuff that inside in deference to making somebody else pleased with me or happy. And then I would be like, yes, this also, your happiness is my happiness. Whether I like or dislike what's going on is irrelevant. We must all enjoy and be filled with joy. And then a couple days ago, when I have a hard time sleeping, I put on old episodes of Midnight in the Desert with Art Bell. Like there's just something about the drone of like kind of AM radio that has always helped me fall asleep. I was petting my little black cat, Gigi, as I lay there in bed. I'm surrounded by the art I make. I'm in the house that I feel comfortable with, surrounded by my family and love, right? I realized in this like just sliver of a moment that like this is what being happy feels like. And I've had that moment lots and lots of other times, but never when I like demanded it of myself. Never when I like made myself feel that way. And so I started to really think about what got me there? What's the difference between like forcing myself to be positive, forcing myself to put a good spin on everything, this like a deeply seated like evangelical mentality that's been stuck in my head for a long time, that like, even the worst thing that happens like to you is somehow going to end up being a blessing. The God works in mysterious ways concept, instead of like just accepting that like bad shit happens sometimes, and then it's okay to feel angry, and then it's okay to feel like sad, it's okay to feel upset, it's okay to feel negative emotions. As a matter of fact, it's extremely healthy to feel negative emotions, like just not all the time. Just like it's extremely healthy to feel positive emotions, just not all the time. I realized that what changed was that I stopped trying to force my positivity and just stopped giving a fuck about it, right? And I've come up with a stupid term for it that it for me really works. It's fuck it positivity. You know what? I might fail at this, and instead of pre-defeating myself, fuck it. You know what? I did fail at this, and that sucks. Fuck it. I'll feel bad. Or I did succeed at this. Fuck it. Let's celebrate, right? Like this mentality of our lives are very short. We will accomplish whatever we accomplish. The amount of time that I'm here is the amount of time that I'm here. I don't necessarily want to drive it till the wheels come off. Like Helen Wolf says, I'm built for comfort, not for speed. But like, I'm gonna at least drive it like it's stolen. Like I'm gonna do the things that I know have the best chance of making the people around me happy and have the best chance of making me happy, and fuck it to all the rest, right? Like, I won't be forced into thinking, I have to do this, I have to earn this, I have to make this, I have to do that. Like, that is the point. The point of being a person is that you do the things that are in service to humanity, right? And for me, making a bunch of money is not in service to humanity. That's in service to spending a bunch of money. And I don't need to do that. I can just be good to my family. Like, I feel so much more joy in like cooking dinner for my family, or doing the dishes, or like, cleaning up around the house, than I ever have at a job. Maybe this job is a little different because I feel like I'm a contribution to like society in my city, as opposed to, flipping pancakes or something, like, so that somebody above me can make a buttload of money and I can stay poor. It's just, fuck it. Like, I think I definitely told this story in the last episode where I was talking with Cody about band and if they want to pursue music, to pursue music. I mean, because what else is the point? Like, if I'm not going to fill my life with like joy and art and goodness, what am I doing here? Like, who even cares? Like, there's the saying, nobody puts on their headstone, I wish I would have gone to work more. Right? Like, sure, it's cliche, but it's true. Like, I don't want a headstone, but I hope that the epitaphs for me are about how funny I am and how loving I was and how much art I did and how much I love books and movies and music. Not about what a diligent worker he was for 37 years at a job. Like, I've worked hard my whole life, and the things I have to show for it are these kind of things. Books and art and a random wrestling banner that I got from a boss because he went to buy his own tequila company. and all I got was this stupid lucha poster, which I love. It has Mystico on it, so what's not to love? One of the greatest luchadors of all time, but I don't know. Like, I've just been thinking about that a lot. Try it out. See what happens. Like, stop giving a fuck about whether you'll succeed or fail. Try the thing you're afraid to do. Stop giving a fuck about, like, is this gonna make everyone around me happy? Or is this just something I want to do? It's something I want to try. Like, it's something I want to get back to. It's something that I've always thought about. So do it. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is you fail. Yeah, so what? Take the hit. We all fail. I've failed in businesses. I've failed in school. I've failed in marriage. I've failed in all sorts of different ways. But I'm still happy. I'm still alive. I'm still, what is the propaganda song says? Not thriving, but buoyant. Like, I'm here, and it's the mentally healthiest I've ever felt, and the most positive I've ever felt about myself, because I just kind of stopped giving a fuck. Stopped giving a fuck about how much money I make or what it looks like or how people perceive me, and just started caring about doing things that have the best chance of making me and the people around me happy. So, yeah. Fuck toxic positivity. Definitely fuck dogging on yourself all the time because, you don't think you can. Because maybe you can't, but you don't know till you try. But, like, embrace some fuck it positivity, guys. Like, really disown anything that wants to tell you you can't. Right? Because you can't is like self-fulfilling. Like, as soon as you tell yourself you can't do something, you've lost. Instead, maybe embrace the things where you go, yeah, fuck it. Let's give it a shot. I don't know. It may not make any sense to anybody except for me, but I've been thinking about that quite a bit the last few days. I'm going to take a little break, and then I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about why I haven't like embraced like the typical YouTube notion of like talking about what's in the news right now. So, yeah, I'll be right back. So this might be even less well thought out of a thought than the previous segment. So if you thought that one was rambly, oh, buddy, buckle up. I don't know. That's not true. This might actually be kind of short, and I might talk a little bit about some movies I've watched too. This might be a heavy talk about stuff episode, but so there's a couple big things in the news right this second, right? Like, so this is what, June 8th, 2026, right? I feel it's important to timestamp it specifically because what I'm going to talk about for the rest of this segment. But so big things in the news that like have piqued my interest, that driven a lot of the conversations I've had with my friends and stuff, is Reckless Ben's video about the bricks and minifigs thing, which is bonkers, right? Super fun to talk about, really interesting, super layered, no resolution, so everything you say can be open-ended and like hypothetical and allegedlys, etc., etc. So huge on YouTube right now, really big story. Like, surprised it hasn't hit like way more of a mainstream audience, because it has all of the true crime things. Like, I sent the videos to my partner, and they watched I think the first one and maybe part of the second one last night, and about halfway through, they burst in my room. They're like, how is this not a Netflix documentary already? I'm like, well, because it came out 2 weeks ago, for starters. But also, it will be. Like, there's no way it won't be. It's just that kind of story. So, there's that, right? The other thing that happened over this weekend was on Meet the Press, like, the president threw a temper tantrum, right? Like, somebody asked him to, state any facts to validate his assertion that elections across the country are rigged. And instead of stating facts, he just like blurted out that everybody's against him and blah, 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 fake news, blah, 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 everything's rigged, blah, blah, blah. I've been here forever. I quit. Bye, bye, bye. I'm a big tubbo that's taking my basketball and leaving. Like, it's basically the biggest baby bitch shit I've ever seen a politician do, and again, attention grabbing. I could talk about it. I could probably like get clicks by creating some clickbait title about that. But what happens in like 5 years when somebody stumbles across this video? Because I do have videos that are like 3-4 years old, and I have gotten rid of a lot of stuff that I did in the past. Some of like the more free flowy review stuff that I did like this, because I just didn't like the way it turned out, and that's neither here nor there. But I do have some videos that are several years old, and people still engage with them and watch them. My Herman Niche video is like almost always one of like my top monthly viewed videos. I think it's like maybe the second or third video I ever put out, which at some point I really should re-record the voice tracks on those things, but it's whatever. I never will. I should, but I never will. Much like the editing process of these issues. But so I think about what happens if somebody 3-4 years along from now comes and like the whole topic of the video is about me whinging about the American Fork Police and Reckless Ben, or the whole video is about me whinging about Donald Trump's temper tantrum 3 years ago, when hopefully, hopefully we will have had the chance to crack the piñata by then. But it's just not, I never go back and watch old episodes of The Bulwark. Even if The Bulwark pops up on my YouTube feed and I see the video is like 3 days old, I don't watch it, right? Same with nightly news, or even like The Daily Show, or, I mean, pretty much anything, any commentary on politics. Like, I follow Mercado Media. I don't go back and watch 3-day-old live streams because like everything's moved on so fast that like 3 days ago feels like ancient history. I hate that. I don't want that. I want people to be able to come here in like 3 years and hear me talk about this and then be like, oh, that's an interesting thought. I wonder what he thinks about other stuff, as opposed to, yeah, I agree/disagree with that, so like and subscribe, or dip out, leave a nasty comment or something. I mean, please leave nasty comments. That only drives the algorithm, but nobody does. Maybe I just need to say like, I don't know, Trump is fat more or something to get mean comments. I did see a really funny post. They put out the federal government put out some list of like, basically of like subversive journalists. Like, these are the bad journalists, which is so toe into fascism that it's up to the knee, But Steve Hofstetter, a comedian that's like 100% left leaning, posted, what do I got to do to get on that list? That made me laugh. Anyway, so I want people to be able to come to these like down the line and still think that it's an interesting thought, or something that they want to talk about, or something that they are willing to engage in, as opposed to like, this is old news. The way I feel about a movie, it may become old news over time. Like, okay, diving into some of the things we watched. Just recently watched Midsommar in the theater with my friends over the weekend. For a monthly horror movie night that my local bookstore has started putting on, and it was fantastic. It's such a good movie. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time, but I got something totally different out of it than the first time I watched it or the second time I watched it, because I put more information about religion and philosophy and folk horror, like as a genre, into my head since then. So there are all sorts of things and keys that I hadn't really noticed, or that maybe aren't even intentional, but like they spoke to me in a different way because of the information that I've put into my head, like the layering of like ritual and the way that like they have to balance like who is sacrificed and why, the way that they need to bring in like new bloodlines and also create like a new avatar for their commune, or for their community, as they put it. And like how both of the characters that like are the only characters you visually see having sex are also the only two redheaded people, and as they're having sex they like key in on like the handicapped person that is their like their speaker, their avatar. And you realize that maybe these two are connected because like they're creating the next one, right? And that's why they are symbolically both the redheads. Like they both are out of step with like reality. So I don't know. It's super cool, right? And those kind of conversations and thinking about that stuff, it doesn't go away, right? Like I can have that opinion and it can change and evolve over time, but I can still like engage with like the old idea because like the movie isn't changing, right? Like I'm changing, I'm growing, I'm experiencing, I'm learning. So that's what informs my opinion about it. But the movie itself stays the same. The news cycle, the endless churning news cycle, it just creates like this atmosphere of, oh man, I got to talk about this right away because it's going to not be hot tomorrow. And I don't care. Like, I don't need it to be hot. I need to think. I need to engage. I need to talk. I need to have conversations. And I want you to do the same thing, right? I want you to think, the viewer to engage, the viewer to be excited about something, right? So I want to know, well, what did you watch? What did you read? What are you talking about? That's why I interview just seemingly random people, because they're just interesting. And people like to a T are interesting. I've never met a boring person. Like people have weight and value past, their interests, and have things that they have to say and think about. Like I haven't fundamentally met any truly dull people. I've met people that are bad at conversation or bad at telling a story, but like inside, like their interior, the way they think, the way they see the world is almost universally something. There's almost universally something there to be interested in. I've done lots and lots of interviews in the past with a podcast that I used to be on. And doing those interviews, like I realized that the flaw of interviewing somebody is when the interview is bad, it very rarely has to do with like the person that you're interviewing. Because like the person that you're interviewing, they're not necessarily experienced at doing it. So you have to find the thing that like draws them out. You have to find the thing that excites them and interests them enough that they're excited to like talk with you. And for some people that can be really difficult, because like even the act of like talking can be like dangerous and scary. So it's about finding like a place of like comfort and conversation and logic and reason and talking and enjoying each other's company. Yeah, come on in.
Interrupting a second time.
I know.
She likes my room.
Oh, okay. Well, she can't stay down there.
I know. She just likes it.
All right.
No, I'm showing them.
Oh, I thought you were handing.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Hi, Gigi.
Now take her.
Okay, Gigi. All right. Okay. Are you gonna hang out or no? Do you want to do the baby hold?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll stick with the baby hold. All right.
Love you, Dad.
Love you too, kiddo. All right. Yeah, this is my Gigi that I was talking about. But so drawing a person out like isn't about you, like about them. It's about you finding a way to like connect with somebody. And like finding those connections is really don't claw at the mic. Finding those connections is really something that I value, right? And that's more important to me than making sure that like my video is something that is immediately exciting to everybody else. Like, I'm okay if this stuff doesn't get found for like a really long time. Like, I'm okay if some of the things I talk about are rambly and esoteric and don't make a ton of sense like all the time, because mostly it's about me. I mean, in a lot of ways, just having a conversation with myself to like really feel and think through some of the things that I'm imagining, and then hoping that that opens up conversations with other people too, whether that be people that I interview or people that come on here and talk to me. Like, if it's, by leaving a comment or whatever, like that's so much more valuable than making sure I get my opinion on Reckless Bin out the door in time for it to still hit the algorithm. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. So, I keep making these videos, and sometimes they have like, really directed goals. Sometimes they're really about specific things. Sometimes they're episodes like this. And like, I try to make sure that I don't just put out something for the sake of putting out something. These have been a few ideas that have been brewing like in the back of my head for a few weeks now, and I didn't really know how I wanted to talk about them or really what I wanted to do with them. But I also don't want to like just churn out an episode every week for the sake of doing it, which I've talked about in the past. So here we are again, talking about that and talking about how the format is the format because it's what I want to do, right? And I don't want to worry about striking while the iron's hot, making sure that I get the right opinion or the quickest opinion out there. Like, I'm more interested in what does life look like when we think about it a lot? What does art look like when we think about it a lot? What do I feel and think when I think about a movie like, The Demoniacs, or, which incidentally, like going back to Demoniacs and Horrors of Malformed Men, I had so much more to say about Horrors of Malformed Men because like there was meat on the bone there. Whereas like the Rollin movie is just visually stunning, right? And it's good, but like it's not quite as layered or interesting because the ideas in it aren't as well thought out, right? And I can make that comparison because I've experienced both of those things, and now you could go back and do that too, right? And it's not an emergency. Like, we're not waiting for the third, episode of The Demoniacs to come out. Like, we're all waiting for the third Reckless Bin video. We're not appalled by the horrors of Malformed Men because it's fiction. It's a film, right? It's an artistic endeavor, unlike a president storming out of an interview, which is just like a temper tantrum perpetuated by an adult man in the greatest position of power, right? They're different things, and the things I choose to engage with here are very specifically so that all of us can try to think a little bit more about what we engage with and how we engage with it and what's interesting versus what's just there, right? And right now, the news just feels there. It's not interesting. Like, I listened to a British broadcasting company called LBC. There's a morning talk show, and the guy's pretty funny, and so I watch him fairly regularly. But he said something about the war in Iran today, that like the news is so repetitive and makes no movement forward. It's always the same announcements. Like, we're going to bomb them to the ground. There's going to be a peace deal. We're going to bomb them to the ground. There's going to be a peace deal. I'll have the Strait open any day now. We're going to bomb them to the ground. There's going to be a peace deal. And it just cycles to the point where like it's no longer analyzable, because it's just is. It's just the same. Nobody's saying anything that means anything. There is no actual like concrete action. There is no response that is anything beyond, yeah, they keep saying that, but we're not doing anything, so deal with it. Right? That's how all the news feels right now. Unanalyzable. It's just people like flailing about, pretending like they're solving problems when they're basically just doing nothing, making a ton of money. Boom. Situation analyzed. Like, so, yeah, there's a lot more to talk about with Horrors of Malformed Men or Midsommar or you know, even Mandalorian and Grogu. We went and saw that, and there's a scene that is like a clear homage to Hard Boiled, and it's impossible to not appreciate that. You know, yeah, it's a movie made for kids. It's a dorky action movie. It's absolutely the kind of thing we would have shit ourselves over in the 80s. Right, but now it's within the confines of the extended Star Wars universe that Disney has created. Man, how boring! Like the "strike it while the iron's hot" commentary for Mandalorian and Grogu. Boring. Talking about how it ties to Hard Boiled. Awesome, and that conversation doesn't go away because those movies haven't changed. Like Mandalorian Grogu, it's the same today as it was when I watched it on Wednesday. Hard Boiled, yeah, I watched a 4K rendition of it in the theaters a few months ago. Same ass movie, right? So, I don't know. Dig deeper. Fuck the surface stuff, man. Like, what makes things interesting is their ability to make you think about them, I think is where I'm going to end this. Anyway, that was a lot of rambling about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll be back in just a second to wrap it all up. Okay, let's wrap this guy up. Really rambly episode, so if you made it to the end, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. If you found any of this interesting or want to engage, please do. You know, the whole like, subscribe, comment stuff. Ta-da, did it. I hardly ever remember to say those things. So, past that, man, I hope that you find something this week that you like watch, or that you read, or that you listen to. Music is so cool. New Prof singles have been incredible. Like, there's some great movies out. I went to see The Backrooms last week. That was really fun. There's always fun things happening in your town. I almost guarantee it. Like, find your local bookstore, find your local music shop if you have one. Like, my city's fortunate enough to have both, and an oddities store, which I'm not sure how that shit happened growing up here in the 90s. Not expected. But, like, find something that engages you this week. That's what I'm going to do. So I hope you do it too. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and die now. So until next time, just remember, I'm not a very interesting guy. I'm just interested in interesting things. And if I hated you, you would definitely know. Só agressivo, vou deixar sua